Adam Schiff and a bunch of others here. Swalwell, remember him? What was the name of that girl? You know, the Chinese spy he took up? Fang Fang. Adam Schiff, who had Eric Swalwell right behind him the other day when he was talking. Well, he went on and did this interview with CNN, and he's trying to just make sure that, you know, he's got another run at the Schiff show. He's selling tickets, ladies and gentlemen. The superstar of the Schiff show, Adam, saying we're going to keep this thing going and going and going and going. Watch.
Will you accept the Supreme Court's ruling regardless of which way they decide?
I don't think we'll have any choice but to accept the court's ruling. But here, I think the court's ruling is going to be he has no immunity. The problem is, can we accept and live with the delay? And I don't think we have much choice here. Once again, Donald Trump trying to run out the clock. We have to hope and pray that voters reject him when they have a chance to vote this November, so that if the Justice Department and justice has not been served, that it will be served after the election.
Which gets us right back to Rachel Maddow's point. She's terrified he'll never leave office because you got the Schiff show hanging out in the background waiting, saying, okay, now we got our chance. Now we got our chance. Let's run it again, Drew. Why not? This woman is just something else. Rachel Maddow freaking out because maybe he'll just never leave office.
If you think about the court as the Supreme Court of the United States and a rational actor and a decent one, that was a reasonable supposition, and it just turns out they're not that. Incremental bit of progress here. The important question here is not whether the Supreme Court is going to decide that Donald Trump and all presidents are immune from prosecution for things crimes they committed while they were president. I mean, it would be fully insane for them to actually side with Trump here, right? The conclusion that we can arrive at now based on what they have done without having to wait for the ruling is that they are ensuring that Trump will not face trial. And when they inevitably rule that presidents aren't immune from prosecution after they leave office, what that will tell Donald Trump, if by then he is president, is that he can never leave the office of the presidency.
Right.
And if he is voted out in 2028, he cannot leave office, and he is willing to he is welcome to commit any crimes he wants to, as long as he is still president, in order to ignore the result of that election and stay in power for life, because otherwise he is going to go to prison when he gets out.
Dios mío. Okay, my God. So this is the narrative that she's coming up with. Now, it's always a new narrative. It's an interesting narrative. It's always a very interesting narrative. You got to hand her that. She's a good entertainer in that sense. But it's a narrative, and it's a yarn, as you might say. We had to live with that yarn for years until the Mueller report came out and told us that all that junk that they were trying to feed the media, by the way, it was being fed by ex-CIA people like John Brennan, that somehow there was this tape that the Russians had, and so there was this dossier. It was all a bunch of hocus pocus. And yet she ran with that night after night after night after night. No one called her out for it. Not like they called out Tucker Carlson, Chuck Schumer on the floor of Capitol Hill, calling him out because he dared to say, maybe there's a little more to the J6 story that we ought to investigate. No. It's their way or the highway.